guys, it's Hailey, and today's video is going to be more of a serious type video. I've been wanting to do this video for a really long time. I've been wanting to do it since the beginning of my channel actually, but I waited a while, and now just seems like a good time to tell you guys basically my story. So this isn't going to be like my entire life story. This is just going to be kind of my depression story. I know behind camera I seem really energetic and fun and stuff like that, but you know, when the camera's turned off, we're all somebody different. For those of you that don't know me behind the camera, I'm gonna tell you some things about me that you didn't know. So I was diagnosed with severe depression in 6th grade, I believe. I was also diagnosed with ADHD and anxiety. So I'm just gonna pretty much tell you my experience struggling through those times, and I was extremely suicidal at a point in my life. When I first started getting depressed, I think it was after my Nejmama died. That means grandmother in Hungarian. She died this summer after 1st grade, so I was going into 2nd grade, and that just kind of hit me hard. She was my best friend. She raised me. My mom was always working. She was my #1 supporter. She was my best friend. After she died, it was just me and my mom in the house. I wasn't really where I became depressed. That was more of just the beginning of all of it. I started getting bullied in school. It started in 2nd grade, I think. I don't remember much of 1st grade, but I'm pretty sure it started in 2nd grade. I was a pretty quiet kid unless you knew me. Both of my grandparents came over from Europe, and therefore I am very European. I have dark hair all over. I had really dark arm hair and really dark leg hair, and kids would make fun of me for it. Kids would make fun of me. They would call me names. Some kids called me Woolly Mammoth. Tell me I looked like a boy. They would call me hairy, tell me I'm ugly, just a variety of names. And it got to the point where when I was in 4th grade, I started shaving. I started shaving in 4th grade. My legs, my arms, everything. In 2nd grade, kids would call me chubby. I was a bit of a heavier kid when I was younger. There was a time when I broke my foot in 2nd grade, and I remember hating going to school. I hated it. And we went out to the playground, and we had the blacktop, and then there was a little hill, and it was the playground. And I couldn't make it down the hill with a broken leg, so I would just hang out on the blacktop, and nobody would hang out with me. I didn't have anybody to play with at recess. It sucked. I hated going to school. My only friend at recess was me. I would play a game where I would kick rocks and see which foot could kick it the furthest. I remember a girl coming up to me on the playground and saying, because I was friends with one of her friends, she was like, "She's my friend, not yours," and pushed me down on the playground. And I remember going up to we had recess aides. They didn't do anything about it. And also through elementary school, girls would form these clubs, and there was one called the Meeps. Those of you who are in the Meeps are probably watching this right now, and I just want to say thank you for never letting me join the Meeps and making me feel extremely left out. They would never let me join the Meeps. They would all hang out underneath the playground, and they would sit in the mulch and talk, but they would never let me join. All my friends were in it, and they were like, "No, you can't join, we have too many people already." And I was just okay, whatever. And then they would let somebody else join, but they never let me join. They would let other people join, just not me. Long story short, I snitched on them and I got them all in trouble, so there was no more Meep clubs at recess. Kids called me fat, unhealthy. I wasn't even that fat. I was chubby. When you're little, you have baby fat. Okay, I wasn't a twig, but kids are just mean. That's the one thing I'm gonna cover, is that if you're in elementary school and you're watching this, which you probably should not be watching my channel if you're in elementary school, but if you are, kids are mean. I'm just telling you that now. You need to be prepared to expect the worst with kids, all the way up until high school. So after 4th grade, I transitioned into 5th grade, and 5th and 6th grade are in one building, 7th and 8th in another, and then 9th through 12th. So this was my first time transitioning into a new school. This was when all the other elementary school kids were coming into one school together. This is the time that I was having a self-identification crisis. I'm so sorry if you knew me back then. I'm so sorry for what I wore. I'm so sorry for... That was just the beginning of my emo days. we had like different hallways. There was like A hallway, B hallway, C hallway, D hallway, and I remember being terrified to start 5th grade because of certain kids that were in my hallway. I was terrified. I was like, they're gonna bully me, they're gonna be so mean to me, kids are gonna push me down, kids are gonna make me feel terrible about myself, and I was so scared to start 5th grade. I didn't really fit in. I had friends, but they weren't really like good friends. They were just kind of people that I would talk to in class. I never had a best friend. I didn't have anybody that I could like call my best friend. I didn't have somebody that I could just hang out with and like call whenever, or like have sleepovers with. Into 6th grade was like the worst of it. I was eating a lot because that was how I coped with my problems, was I would eat. And I began to like binge, but at the time I didn't know what a binging disorder was, and I just thought like I was eating like any other person, but really I was really overeating, and I was chubby. I say I'm fat, but everyone's like, no, you weren't fat. Compared to me now, I was fat. It got so bad that there was times that I wouldn't go to school. I would come home crying. Even in elementary school, I'd come home crying to my mom about it, and she couldn't do anything. She's a single parent. It's not like I had somebody else at home to watch me, and she didn't like leaving me home alone because she knew like I was going through things. I was depressed. She didn't know if I would hurt myself or not. Anytime, so the teacher would be like, okay, class, pick your partners and like stuff like that. I never had a partner. Everybody would like look at each other and give each other that look and like all like pair up together. Never had a partner, ever. And I would like go up to people before class even started, and I'd be like, hey, if we have partners today, will you be my partner? And they would be like, sure, like of course. And then they would go and partner with somebody else. And I like made sure that I like planned the days that I would ask certain people to be my partner ahead of class. That way I wouldn't be alone, and I always ended up alone. Kids started telling me to kill myself. Kids started calling me like emo, depressed. It's sad to think that like in 6th grade, even in 5th grade, kids knew these words. I doubt they knew what it meant, but I have a book that my mom gave me. It's just like a little notebook. It's like super girly. It lights up when you press it. And this was when I was going through all of this stuff, and she was like, hey, like if you can't talk about your feelings, maybe try writing them down. And I mean, like at first I was just like threw the book to the side, and I was like, whatever, like what is this like pink girly light up book? And then over time I ended up starting to write in it. And first I started writing like dear blank, just like letters to people that I wish I could tell them things that I wanted to get off my chest and say to them directly that I couldn't. From that up to now, I have been writing in that. I will write down my feelings, write down what's going on, stuff like that. And I was flipping through that book, and I have 1 page left in that book. And I started it when I was 11 years old, and I'm 16 now. I was flipping through that book, and I was reading some of the things that people would call me, and I just wrote them down here. People would call me a hoe, people would call me a slut, bitch. They would call me these names that don't even apply to anybody. Like, no. 5th, 6th grade, that's when I started like liking boys. I was like, ooh, boys, like, let me snatch. And people started calling me a hoe because I liked boys, and people were calling me a slut and stuff like that. And I remember in 6th grade, so hallways would have different lunches. So like I was in D hallway, and D hallway would have lunch while C hallway had recess, and then while D hallway had recess, C hallway would have lunch. And I was in D hallway, but I went to lunch with C hallway because people were so mean to me. We had it set up so that I would go to lunch and recess with C hallway instead of being with my hallway. There'd be times that I was walking down the hallway and kids would come up to me and they'd be like, slut, whore, and I was just making my way downtown. I was just walking down the hallway, like, and I remember there was times that I spent an entire day in the office crying. I went to the counselor a lot. She started like polling me every, like, I think it was Monday or Tuesday, and we would just talk about what's going on. And during that time in my life, there was a large change in my family, which will be an entire different story time. But that was a huge effect on me. Everything just kind of started bringing me down. I just felt worthless. I felt like there was nothing I could do. I felt fat. I felt ugly. I was comparing myself to other girls. People would talk about me. People would say mean things to me. And it sucked. It really did. And I did not know how to cope with it at all. From all of the names that people were calling me and just arguments that I had at home with my mom and I had a lot on my plate at a very young age. Kids would tell me that if I killed myself, nobody would miss me. And I started thinking, you know, there's times that I don't go to school and nobody even questions where I am, or there's times that I'll be in the office for an entire day and nobody questions where I am, nobody asks if I'm okay, nobody's wondering like what's going on, where's Hailey? And I started to realize, you know, if I wasn't here, nobody would care. I started self-harming in 6th grade. I started cutting my legs, my arms. I had them all the way from my ankles up to here at points. It was really bad. I got a therapist in 6th grade, and that was my 3rd therapist in my whole life. And I remember hating going there. I was like, no, I don't have a problem. Like, I'm fine. Like, I was just really stubborn about it because I didn't want to talk to anybody about my problems because, like, when you're depressed, you keep it all in. It's like you have just like a huge weight on you constantly that you don't want to tell other people because it makes you sound crazy. I thought people were going to say I was crazy. There was people that called me crazy. From 6th grade to 7th grade, I was still self-harming, but in 7th grade, that's when like the beginning of my eating disorder started, which if you haven't seen my eating disorder video, that's another contractor to all of this. I was getting bullied a lot in 7th grade too. Girls that I thought I was friends with were telling me to kill myself. I took 10 ibuprofen, and I remember just sitting there taking all these ibuprofen thinking like, whatever, like, I don't know if this is gonna do anything, but it just doesn't matter. Like, I just didn't care if I died. I wasn't trying to prevent myself. I stopped buckling in the car. I remember, like, we'd be driving somewhere, me and my mom would be driving somewhere, and I remember just thinking, like, if we just ran into another car right now and died, I'd be okay with it. I wouldn't look both ways when I crossed the street, never. I would just go, if the car hit me, it hit me and I died, and I would be fine with that. I didn't talk to my mom about how I was feeling because I didn't want to upset her, because it's always just been me and her, and I'm all she has and she's all I have. I didn't want to disappoint her, and I didn't want to make her upset and worry about me more than she already was. 7th grade, I was still self-harming up until 8th grade, and I was still self-harming. It became an addiction. Anytime anything happened, anytime anything would set me off just a little bit, I just felt the urge to cut. And I would try different things like snapping a rubber band on my wrist, holding ice cubes, like stuff like that, and it just wasn't the same. It didn't give you the same release. And that's when people would start calling me crazy, and people started calling me, like, telling me I had problems and stuff at school, which just, that all made it way worse. Because, I mean, I would come to school and I had all of these cuts on my wrist and I had all these scars, and I would try covering them up, but you can't cover those up forever. People still say things. People will come up to me and they'll be like, what's that? Because I don't know if you've ever noticed them on my arms in my videos, but they're way worse in the summer. When I get tan, you can see them a lot. But there's that was a deep one. That was probably the worst. And they're on my legs and on my other arm and thighs, hips, my stomach. Oh my god. My stomach used to look so gross. I was with that therapist for 3 years. She told me that I was her longest patient. I wonder if she watches these, because we talked about YouTube a lot. YouTube was a huge factor of getting me through all of this, which I will explain. Once 8th grade hit, I was still going through all the depression, eating disorder stuff, anxiety, and one night I had a really bad anxiety attack. So bad that I cried myself to sleep. I was shaking. I was sitting in the bathtub just trying to calm myself down. My mom was freaking out. She was trying everything to calm me down, and most of the times when I would be feeling suicidal or freaking out, I wouldn't go to her about it, but at that point it was just so bad that there was no way for her not to notice, and it scared her. If she had seen all of the other things that I was doing to myself and that I was going through, she would have taken me to the hospital way before she did. So I came home from school and I get in the car and she was like, Hailey, we need to talk. And I'm like, okay, what? And she's like, you're not going to school tomorrow. And I'm like, why? And she's like, I'm taking you to a partial hospitalization program where you're going to be there for 2 weeks. Every day of the week you get to come home at nights, you're home on weekends, but there's no going to school, and it's for kids who have mental illness. She told me that on a Thursday, so that Friday she took me down to Akron's Children's and we went in, tons of paperwork. You got like your own therapist while you were there. And so it was like a new counselor person. I had to like tell her everything, and she was asking questions. It was just me and her in the room, and she was like going through a list of things. She was like, do you self-harm? I was like, yes. She was like, have you ever whatever? I was like, yes. And then she said, which I may or may not have mentioned this in my eating disorder video, but she goes, do you have an eating disorder? And at that point I had never admitted it. I had never said it out loud because I didn't think I had a problem, but I just broke down crying and I just told her what had been going on, and that was the first time I ever admitted to anybody that I had an eating disorder. Through that, I was there for 2 weeks. I met a ton of other kids that were going through similar problems, and we would just talk about it. We had group therapy. That was life-changing for me. If I had never went there, I don't think I would be here today, honestly. There was just so many other kids that were going through similar things, and it was so sad to hear other people's stories and how other people were handling their problems, and we were all just fighting the same type of situation together. Because when you're in these things, you just feel so lonely, you feel empty, you feel nothing, you feel so worthless, you feel like there's nobody else that knows what you're going through. And I was put into a group of people who felt the same way, and it just kind of opened my eyes to think, wow, there are other people who are going through this. As you can see, all of the letters on my wall, can you see this one? No? So the reason that I started my letter wall was from the hospital. When you would get discharged, that started with this girl named Aubrey, and she wrote me a letter, it was the first letter. It's this letter right here. This is the first letter that I ever put on my letter wall. It's from Aubrey. It says 1098765, and then it has them all crossed out, and it says, these numbers do not matter. Your stomach will fight out of habit, but taking conscious care of your striking being will win if you try. Hailey, you are not fat. Such a gross word. Do not think that. You are so striking. And that was the first letter that anyone ever gave me. People writing to me instead of just saying it to me was like something that I could physically hold and physically look back on as a reminder to myself. And after that, all of my other friends in there that were getting discharged, they would write me letters. There's just everywhere. I can make an entire video of me just reading you guys letters from people. If you want to see that, let me know. That was really like the big step for me into healing. Then after that, I was still going through depression stuff. There was still times that I tried to kill myself. And when you're going through depression and anxiety and just mental illness, you don't want help, but you want help. For me, it was like part of my brain knew I wanted help and the other half just wanted to stay in the dark tunnel that I was in. This is probably a really long video already, and I can do so much more about this, but right now, I'm going to make other ones about this too, but right now I just want to be able to share with you guys that you are not alone. I went through this, and the reason that I'm so confident today and the reason that I'm who I am today and how strong I am is because I went through this. If none of that would have happened, I would not be the person that I am today. I just want to say you're not alone in this fight, and it's hard to fight. It's a hard fight to win because the darkness overcomes the white so much. The way that I used to think of it was the color black and the color white. So I was a little tiny white dot, and the black circle was just surrounding my little tiny white dot, which was me in the middle, and the black was all of like the depression, the anxiety, just everything. And I remember there's times that I would slowly move out into the gray, and then I'd bounce back into the black, and it would go back and forth. It's gonna be up and down. It's gonna be a roller coaster ride, but it's gonna suck. You're gonna have times where you think it's the end, but if you listen to the words that I'm telling you, you're going to make it. You need to be strong for yourself. there are people that care about you. You might not think that there are, but there is. Once I started getting these letters, I really realized that there are people that care about me. And even if people aren't writing you letters, you need to know that if you're gone, there's still the kid that sat next to you in class. You made an impact on that kid. The kid that sits diagonal from you in class. They look at you every day, and now there's an empty desk sitting there and you're not there anymore. You were still part of their lives. You are part of people's lives and they're part of yours. You matter to people. You matter to someone. And I was so unconfident. I thought I was just the worst person ever. I thought I was so ugly. I thought I would never make it. I was so depressed. And here I am today, not caring what anybody says about me. I get hate comments. Okay, cool. You do you, buddy. Like, the only reason that I am this confident is because I fought the fight. When you're going through depression and people are telling you, like, don't worry, you're gonna get through this, you really don't think you're going to get through it. You just think in your head, whatever, they're just saying that to try to help me. And that's what I thought. I really thought that people were just saying that to try to help me. And honestly, people were trying to help me, but it takes you to want the help. You need to want the help for yourself, and you need to want to get better before you can get better. So by the time that I realized that, you know what, I really do want to get better, that's when I started getting better. And YouTube has been a giant help through all of this. That's how I started. When I started my YouTube channel, it was like the beginning of my little depression stage. And I would watch other YouTubers, I would watch other people talk about this, and that's the reason that I wanted to make a YouTube channel, so that I can inspire others to know that you're not alone in this, and there's so much going on in life, and this is just a bump in the road, and there's going to be so much more going on. You're going to have ups and downs. You're going to think something's your worst, but then something is going to top it. You're going to think something is okay, then something's going to become better. That's just how life works. Life sucks. It does. Life sucks. People suck. Things suck. But you will get through it. We can all make it through it together, I promise. We all just need to team up. You can become part of my team. We can be a family. Press that subscribe button. If you have anything you want to talk to, if you want to come to me about anything, I will make more videos about this too, more details and stuff. You can come to me. I'm here for you. And I want my subscribers to come together too. Meet each other in the comment section. Make new friends. This is how literally, I made so many friends over the internet. Even if people are bullying you at school, if people are trying to push you down, you can build yourself back up. You can just easily rise up. Don't care what other people think. Don't care what other people say, because you are you, and you need to learn to love yourself. Thank you so much for watching. I love you guys so much. Give this video a thumbs up, leave a comment down below, and press the subscribe button. Don't forget to turn on my bell for my post notifications so you know when I upload. And yeah, all my social medias are linked below. And this week's shout out is Cara Ferrara. You can follow her right here because she's sitting here watching me film this video. And yeah, if you want to be a shout out, you gotta stay super active on all my social medias. I love you guys. Stay strong. Bye.